Right, 2 minutes. You're live.
I'll just see if anything comes
Just
up.
wait for a couple of people.
Just wait for a couple of people. Come on, John.
Yeah, are we on or not?
Yeah, we'll just wait for a few people to come on
okay.
on the show.
You know, I did a show with Stephen Gillen last week. Do you know who that is?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. No.
Let's get this back on.
He's pretty popular now over there. He did about 18 years in prisons and whatever.
I think he's on your Facebook, Stephen.
Is he?
Yeah.
There's that many people on your Facebook. You don't know, do you, John? People join you.
They keep knocking me off my Facebook, these guys.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I'm used to it. They haven't stopped, and they keep trying to instigate me, but I'm not stupid, so.
But you've been noticed, though, John, they don't say it to your face.
No.
No, they don't come knock on your door. It's always Warrior 135 or Spaceman Y156. They don't have real names, it's idiots.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to the Taxman Show. It's me, Brian Cockerill. I've got John Alite. John, can you introduce yourself to the folks, please?
Hey, everybody. John Alite. I'm John Alite. I'm in New York, and just want to say hello to everybody over there.
Yeah, John, can we just go back to where you were born, where you were from, your roots, and that's just let people know what you're about.
Yeah, I'm from Jamaica Avenue, Woodhaven, Queens. We nicknamed it Death Haven. It's on the borderline of Queens and Brooklyn, and pretty kind of rough spot from a lower middle class neighborhood, lower class neighborhood. So,
yeah. What was that? Do you want any siblings?
Yeah,
sisters.
Two sisters and a brother. My brother's still here with me. He lives with me, so he's alone. He's an ex-fighter too. He fights. And
is that Jimmy? Is he called?
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah,
I thought I'd seen him. Probably do one with him next to the podcast. So, so what was it like being in the neighborhood when you grew up? What was it like?
I grew up in the '60s originally, so it was a lot of violence from mob world and from the racial stuff that went on. So now it's there's no race thing in my opinion. Now it's not like when we grew up. So, and I got a lot of mixed friends of every nationality. So.
Yeah. What was it like going to school?
A lot of fighting. I mean, the neighborhood, since I was in the ring at 3 years old. There's some pictures out there of me and my brother boxing, and my father was a fighter, and so our whole neighborhood was fighters. So you went to school, and it wasn't like school, and some kids get education and go to school. Our schools was constant fighting, so that was part of the education.
Right. What was your first encounter with the cops?
My first encounter, nobody really talks about, is when we were little kids. Some of the older kids stole the keys to the school. So I took some of the keys, and we used to go into school and play around, and somebody stole all the computers, and one of the older guys blamed me. I was only, I don't know, 9 years old or something. And the detectives came and pulled me out of class and asked if I had the keys. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What keys? And, they said, well, we're going to bring you to your father, because my father would have given me a beating. And they're sort of trying to scare me. And I says, I ain't got no keys. But I threw them away next door. But I knew where I threw them. It was like a junkyard there. So I went back and got them. And since they accused me of stealing the computers, I went back and I started stealing them. So
but in them days, John, I think it was you got punished off your dad and your mum, things like that. And the old school mob policeman would pull you and say, I'm going to tell your dad, and you'd be petrified to go home because you knew you were in for a good thumping off your father.
Yeah.
I think that's gone now these days, a lot of that.
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem. The kids are a little spoiled, and they have that poor me syndrome. He said, they just don't have the same upbringing that we did. And I think, I'm not saying they should beat kids, but I think you need to discipline them a little bit more than they did. Yeah. Obviously now they just, my opinion, very lazy, spoiled. They play too much on computers, and they don't have the same values when your father or somebody talks to you that you respect.
Yeah, we were kids, John. You'd be out playing on your bikes, playing whatever games, football, hockey, what you was playing, or whatever, all types of games. And there was hardly anybody overweight, boxing, whatever. They're into sport, but because they're into computers, a lot of kids, 1 in 3 children are overweight because they don't do any exercise.
Yeah, I think the parents let them stay in the house. You know, when we were in the house, you know, my father, can we curse on this thing? But
you can, yes, of course.
Yeah. So my father would
You're
kick
allowed.
me in the ass and say, get the fuck out of the house. So, you know, he didn't want to hear about it. So, you know, we played every sport there was. We played hockey, we played football, we played basketball, baseball. We were boxing every day. That was a forced, that wasn't a choice. My father had us in the basement and at the gym. So, you know, that's just part of the routine. And I think it's good for kids to be out there being not physical, but just being interacting with other kids. It's healthy.
Totally agree. John, when you left school, did you have anything you wanted to do, any type of job?
Yeah, you know, when I was in school, I never wanted to be a stockbroker, but one of my cousins bought a stock brokerage firm, and they told me to go get a license. So I studied for the Series 7. I got a license, but I had a problem where I stabbed an off-duty cop. I didn't know he was a cop, and I got locked up in California. So they wouldn't let me. I tried getting a couple of jobs, and after I passed the test, and they kept firing me. So that didn't work out too well. So I tried it, though.
So when was the transition when you got in with the Mafia?
Yeah, I don't think, you know, a lot of guys, you know, I'm Albanian, everybody knows that, but I think I was raised more in the mob world than any guys that were for the mob world. You know, as a baby, I was on the laps of, you know, Al Greco. He's a famous tough guy, killer gangsters, and Fat Andy Ruggiano. And as much as I bring up his name, it seems like people just want to ignore who he is. This was the most famous proliferal gangster around in the mob world that was with Albert Anastasia, Murder Inc., and these guys were out killing like crazy. When he was made in 1953 or 54, I believe Fat Andy was made. He's kind of like a grandfather to me. So I've been on the laps of these guys since I'm a baby.
Yeah, can you tell us any stories about what you got up to, allegedly?
What I did, or with these guys, or
with what you did, whatever.
You know, as a young kid, you know, again, in the era I'm growing up in, you know, you're seeing a lot of killings going on. You know, I'm on the street, I'm watching guys getting battered by gangsters, and my little girlfriend in school, her father and uncle were, you know, made guys, little Casey family. Fat Andy was Gambino family. Little Al Greco and those guys were Genovese family. So, you know, these are my like role models, uncles, grandfathers, or whatever. And my father and uncle were partners with Blackie Luciano, who's Charlie Luciano, the famous Lucky Luciano's first cousin. Yeah. He was a gangster. So, you know, I'm watching these guys. I'm watching, you know, inadvertently a lot of these things that happen. They don't want me to be there, but I see things. You know, you're in a backyard, you're at a card game, and they split a guy's head open. And, you know, it was just, blood was normal to me because the way my father raised us in the gyms, and most kids 3-4 years old, they fall down, they cry. Us, we weren't allowed to cry, we get hit extra. So, you know, we got adapted to that life of violence and not crying, and, you know, just ignore it and, you know, act like you don't see it and whatever. So.
Yeah, when I was a kid, if I went home and said, "Mum, I'm getting bullied," you get a slap and say, "Get out there and fight back." That was where we were brought up. It's totally different now.
My father used, you know, I told him, there's a friend of mine who was in prison with me, Eddie Hannon. You know, he lived around the corner from me, and you know, he wasn't a tough guy. He was just a streety guy. And as a kid, you know, he was really like streety, so I was a little nervous of him. And he came around to fight me, and you know, we became best friends. We were in prison still. He just died. He was a bank robber, and he come to fight me when I was 7, 8 years old, and he's outside in front of my house, and he's like, "Come on out here and fight me." So I'm like, I'm behind the curtain. I don't want to fight him. And, you know, my father's like, "What are you doing?" So I says, "Eddie's outside." No, he's friends with Eddie's father. So he goes, so the boy wants to fight you? I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, get out there and be a man and fight him." So I'm thinking if I don't fight him, he's going to crack me. So I go out there and I go, "Eddie, I don't want to fight you." He goes, "Oh, we're going to fight." So, you know, we fight. And the next day we're out buying a soda together. You know, it was just the way our neighborhood was. Yeah. We became like really good friends. And, you know, we joked about it in prison.
Yeah, I've had that with people. You've had fights, you're knocking the hell out of each other, and 2 or 3 weeks later, you're best of friends for the rest of your life. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I caught so many beatings. You know, guys talk shit when I'm on these shows and, you know, thing. And, you know,
yeah.
I caught baseball bat beatings. I got stabbed up. I got shot. I mean, I've been through everything, and guys, you know, they talk this nonsense like they've been about something, and, you know, they're clueless to my neighborhood, you know, or the guys, the real guys, you know, the guys that were really. getting.
You still walk about, John, in your own neighbourhood. You drive a convertible. You don't hide from anyone. You've got nothing to hide about. And these people call you names. Like people, I get called names. Everyone gets called names. And when you're successful and you're a very clever man, I can tell that. And when you're clever, you can rise above these because you know what they're about. But they do get to you a little bit, these trolls, because you want to grab hold of them, but they're probably in the bedroom with the mum. Get down here and get your tea, and they live with the mum and dad, still in the 40-odd-year-old, and they're just gobshites. Yeah.
Years ago, I'm with my son. I'll tell you a quick funny story. So we're in Switzerland, and there's a guy trolling on my phone, and my younger son, we're in a runway, sort of plane to take off, and he's got my phone. I'm terrible with technology, and he's writing back and forth, and some troll is talking crazy with me. So I said to my son, "Give me the phone." So he shows me the guy on the phone, and he has like 40 or 50,000 followers. I go, "Watch how easy this is." So I call my friend in Switzerland because we just left there. And he controls most of that area there. He's a heavyweight in Europe. So I says, "Hey, do me a favor." He goes, "What?" I says, "Get this guy's name and ask all your people if anybody knows this kid." So I figured I'd find him in 2 weeks. He finds him immediately while we're on the top. He goes, "John, this guy lives like 15 minutes from me." He says, "I'll send 3 guys to his house." So we're on the thing and we're laughing, and the guy's writing. Now I'm writing, and he's telling me he's going to do this to me. He's going to do that to me. And I said to him, "Go answer your doorbell." So he's like, "Fuck you. There's nobody at my door." So we get on my son's phone and we call my friend, and I tell my friend, "Are they there?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Tell him to ring the bell now." So he rings the bell now. And I says, "How about now? Are they at the door now?" And he was like, "Hey, this is just for fun. I'm only a 30-year-old kid. I'm only playing. I'm not serious." I go, "Go answer that door before they kick your door in." I says, you guys all think you're cute, but it ain't it's not a game all the time. Anyway, the kid begged, and then my friend knocked on it. They made him come out, and he says, "You know what? You're not allowed on social media anymore. So you got to treat him like a child." That same guy that was killing me on the thing was begging for forgiveness. That's what the world became now.
So when did you get enthralled with the? Did you get jobs off people when you worked for the Mafia and things to do? What type of work did you do for them?
I'm at about.
I'm not getting you in trouble, just allegedly.
I'm about 14 years old, and I'm running errands for mob guys and little things. But at that age, people always talk about me, and I tell them, like, I was a good kid out of all my kids, my friends. My friends were already killing at that age. I had some serious friends that were already killing. We come from the streets, so. When people ask, they talk about poverty areas. I come from a poverty area and, surrounding areas of poverty areas. So my friends are already in and out of drug rehabs at kids. They were on TV shows. They were on the David Susskind show at the time, one of our friends. And they were in places like Spofford rehabs and Rikers Island and, juvenile centers. And I was actually innocent. These guys were already doing killings, doing shootings. But then I stepped it up. And I think I just took a sprint past everybody. And as I'm aging, I became very, very aggressive. And there's my history now. So
it's coming out now.
Unfortunately.
So, what do you know that saying? When somebody's going to get whacked, obviously that means they're going to get taken out. Where does that saying come from?
You know what? In the area, mob guys would say, this guy got whacked, or this guy's getting hit, or this guy putting in a piece of work. But what the people really don't know around the world is, and I think that's why so many guys talk nonsense with me, is I show the myth of the Mafia, how full of shit everybody is. So people think, "Oh, this guy's a made guy," or that guy. Listen, and I've said it over and over again. I don't give a fuck about anybody's stupid title. This guy's a captain. This guy's a boss. This guy's a made guy. This guy's full of shit. That guy's full of shit. That guy's full of shit. I say a man is a man. It ain't by a title. I mean, this is the street. Anybody who's really from the street, I got Spanish friends, black friends, Irish friends. They're fucking serious, tough guys. There ain't nobody telling them what to do. I said, so, when this nonsense talks to me about these nonsense of guys that never cracked an egg, I just get, I just get infuriated with it.
Yeah, you get a lot, don't you, if you hear them at parties and they've done this thing, they've done that thing, and it's always the tough guys who don't say nothing, and the ones who haven't done anything spout their mouth off, but when the trouble comes, they're the first ones to run.
We were at a location. I got an Irish friend that grew up with me, Michael, and I won't say his second name, but we were in a mob club, and one of the guys was walking in, and the other guy, Michael, was walking out, and Michael cracked him, because they ran into each other. The guy said something, and he cracked him, and the guy was a skipper. So, mob laws and mob myth are two different things. If you put your hand on a mob guy, you're supposed to get a death sentence. So he cracked him, and what's the guy going to do? Michael's a tough guy, so he's going to tell somebody else. Michael said, you can tell who the fuck you want to tell, and I'll still kill you. So he's, so this nonsense when you hear about these rules, what they live in off of is the 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s. Right. And after that, it's over. So all these guys that are getting straightened out, which means made guys, these guys, I can give you a list of guys that never used a gun in their life, never used a knife in their life. I don't think they got into a fist fight in their life. So this nonsense people believe, they're hearing that from the old days. They're not hearing it from the present days. And there's always a handful of tough guys, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But for the most part, 98% of them are frauds.
Do you think that the old schools, personally, I thought the old school were a lot tougher than the ones now? Yeah,
because the old school, you had guys who would fist up, they'd fight. You'd have guys that would, they don't pick and choose. This generation thinks when 6 or 7 guys beat up 2 guys, they're like, wow, did you see him hit him? I mean, that's a fucking coward. They just don't get it. Yeah. So, exactly. And, when guys still at my age now, they're still challenging me. And I laugh. I says, these guys are challenging. They want to make a name off, trying to make a name off of us. And, we have to choose when it's going to end, because otherwise, if we don't, first off, at this age, we should be setting an example. I try to do.
Yeah, of course.
And second, you want to still abuse those trolls and those big mouths. But if these guys were about it, they wouldn't talk like that. You know that. The tough guys don't talk like that. They don't troll.
Oh, no.
They don't speak disrespectfully. They just behave when it comes down to having to act. They act.
Yeah. But, and another thing, John, if someone said to me, John Alite is in this building somewhere, and there was 100 people, I'd pick you out every time, because I know just by your mannerism, the aura you have, your intelligence, and you just know, don't you, when certain people, like Mike Tyson, when he was about, you could put him in front of 1,000 black people. Go, that's Mike Tyson, not even knowing him. You just know by the aura.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're always going to get, the real guys are always going to be gentlemen. There was an article I think we talked about on Forbes magazine. It talks about me killing and shooting 30-something guys, whatever it was. And, so you got, agents, prosecutors, ex-gangsters, everybody, that are saying this is accurate. This guy's done this. And then you got dummies that say, oh, I think he's embellishing and lying. And it's almost incredible, the envious and jealousness, because these guys don't understand to be a tough guy on the street or a man on the street is nothing to be bragging about, but the facts are the facts. And these guys, the same guys that are talking like that, you really want to be a tough guy. I can name every family. Listen, I'll do it this way. The whole Colombo family years ago, all ratted. The whole family. They dismantled the family. The Bonanno family, whole family 10 years ago started ratting from the boss down. The Philadelphia mob, the boss, the underboss, all ratted. Pittsburgh, they all ratted. Chicago, they ratted. So when these guys are trying to sell a myth of a mafia, they're the biggest cowards there are. Yeah. People keep buying into it, and they keep talking that nonsense. But the real guy, the real tough guys, and you go to a gym, you watch guys fight, they get in the ring, really fight by themselves, are tough guys. The guys that join the army, the guys that are on the street every day, and they're taking those beatings. Because when I see guys that never got a beating, I know those are the guys that are weasels and worms that only pick their shots because they're only choosing when to hit a guy. Or you hear about a guy, oh, he's a tough guy, because he hit a guy that he knows ain't going to hit him back because they figure he's got 10 guys or he's got a position. So they're afraid to fight. So, I'm sick of hearing the same thing from these weak guys that talk like that.
Yeah. But the people like you and I, John, we'd fight anyone 1-to-1. we don't want like 3 on my side and 1 on their side. You don't do. You wouldn't feel like you had a fight. You feel like a bit of a coward if you had 3 on to 1.
You didn't. You develop personally a name that carried across here. Across the pond, across the states, across. You don't get that name. And when guys are talking or knocking you or writing something, and I write them back. I said, well, you didn't get that. No one knows your name for a reason. Everybody knows his name for a reason. I said, not because he sat in the sidelines trolling like these idiots do. So, and when I hear these guys that are grassing and they're calling other guys rats and this and that, well, there's plenty of guys out there that grassed on guys. Well, I'm not advocating for you to do anything, but since you're a tough guy, go see one of them. I don't think it's that hard to find a couple of guys and go do what you claim that you were about instead of writing and typing.
Yeah. Well, my door's open anytime. It's just talking the talk, like we said the other week. But when was the first jail sentence you got, John?
I was a kid the first time I got locked up for a stupid thing at 16 or 17, and my friends ran on a food bill, and I was in a diner, and I was in the bathroom. When I came out, they ran, and I didn't have money. I went out the door, and they all ran. Some guy chased us in a car, and it ended up being a big thing, and he tried to hit us, and we got out of the car, and the cops had roadblocks for us over nonsense. But then after that, it became a regular thing. It was usually at 18, I got locked up for a couple of assaults. At 19, I stabbed an off-duty cop, and some of his friends jumped a friend of mine from college that he was a nice guy. They gave him some beating, and I caught the guy about an hour later. I didn't know he was an off-duty cop, and I didn't actually punch him. I kicked him in the face. He was sitting on a half ledge. I never used my feet. I don't know why I kicked him. I didn't even know nothing about using my legs. But I caught him good, and then I stabbed him, and I got locked up for it in California. So I've been locked up, New York.
Right. What was it like, that feeling getting locked up, John, going in? Obviously, when I first got locked up, it's that feel of the unknown, isn't it? You're not sure what's going to happen. Yeah,
I mean, you always got that anxiety. Because it's something new. When guys tell you, "Oh, I wasn't," I wouldn't use the word scared. I would use the word, just like you said, unknown, anxiety of, okay, what's going to go on here? How am I going to handle my way through this, navigate? But the problem with jail is once you go in there once or twice, and then you make it a regular habit, it's like going back to school again. You're at a place where you're very comfortable. You know everybody in these prisons. You're walking in, your whole neighborhood's there, and you got a reputation at this point, so you get treated like a king, kind of, and it becomes a negative thing that you kind of just get adapted to.
Yeah, when you go to jail, over here, you go to jail, you go in for a driving offence, you come out knowing everything about robberies and everything, so you get educated on how to do burglaries and shootings.
Well, you start making connections around every neighborhood, too. You get friendly with 2 or 3 guys, and from that neighborhood, this neighborhood, and before you know it, when you come out, you just expanded your criminal enterprise. So, it's not really what everybody thinks.
Well, people say to me, "Oh, jail's easy." It wasn't for me, John. It's a horrible place to be, locked up, away from your family. You're missing your family, your brothers, your sisters, your mum. The kids are missing you. So it's not a nice place to be. We yourself as well, going to schools with kids. We're trying to teach kids not to do what we did, because we can't stop what we did in the past because it's gone. But we can help the kids up today and tomorrow by educating them, saying, get yourself an education, get yourself into a sport. Don't sell drugs, because I ended up taking them for a long time. I started selling them, and then you start taking them, and it's a merry-go-round. You can't get off it sometimes, John.
Well, I try to tell the kids, like what you're just saying, I'm very boisterous. Everybody knows that, because, it's to go to jail physically, no big deal. You fight, you not fight, you get hurt. That's not the pain. The kids, I think the kids don't understand that, especially kids that are trying to be tough guys or trying to be, I guess the way I was trying to be a tough guy, that you go to jail and you prove that, no big deal, you can go to jail, but they're missing the other part. The part is the family stuff. That's the pain. When you lose a family member, you're not seeing your kids, or you're not seeing your parents, or your grandparents are dying while you're there. And, those are the things that kids don't understand, the emotional and mental pain. And maybe some of these kids are tough enough to go to jail and make it through. All right. But that's not the pain. And we're not built to be in cages. We're not animals. So, when you're losing out, like, I got an older son in prison right now. So when the rest of the kids are going to the beach or they're going to a restaurant or they're with their girlfriend, he's stuck in a cell like an animal, like a dummy, like, you know, and it kills me that he's there. But the point is, it's just a waste of life. And I'm trying to teach the kids, and the kids have a belief that all these big mouths they hear on the street, that they never did anything. If you watch all the shows that most of these guys are doing, they never talk about themselves. You know, you hear a lot of people ask me, how many people did you kill? How many people did you stab? How many people did you bat? How many times did you get? I get the genre of questions. How many people you pipe? I don't see one other of these other guys asking these guys. Stop talking about another guy. Let's talk about yourselves specifically. What'd you do? You have a big reputation of doing work by yourself. I know your reputation with people that don't know. But you're not the average guy. You are the elite guy in this life. The average guy doesn't talk about anything but some name-dropping story. They don't talk about themselves, because if they had to give their, like in baseball, give their baseball stats on a card, well, tell us specifically how many did you kill. Tell me how many you shot. Tell me how many guys you stabbed up. Tell me how many guys you batted. Just tell me about how many fist fights you actually had. And I'm not talking about slapping a guy or jumping a guy. I'm talking about yourself one-on-one. They can't even tell about a fist fight. Forget about anything else. These kids don't really understand that. So I'm really calling out all these guys, because I'm saying to them, if you're really real, then you'd help these kids and tell them the truth. Tell them, listen, you ain't about that. Stop trying to influence these kids to be about that. Get these kids to go to work, play ball, go to school, and do the right thing with their life. Enjoy their life. It's too short.
You're right, John. And the thing is, once you get jail, you're in there. Them years, you can't get them back, because once they've gone, they've gone. And you missed out on a lot. And I think as well, I went to jail, I don't know about for you, when I came out, everything was fast. People were driving me. I was saying, slow down, they're running, because you've been in that little cell, 8x12. I was in solitary quite a lot, because I was a big, obviously I was 24 stone, kicking off, caused a few riots in a few jails. And you get that persona who you are, and they keep moving you about, and they make your life hell there in them jails, they can do. But you did jail in Brazil as well, didn't you, John? Yeah,
I did. You know, I was just on a call with some guys that are doing something with the Brazil stuff, and I did almost 3 years there, 2 years, 7 months. There's a penitentiary, concentration camps, killing like crazy, and it's a way different atmosphere than the jails here. The worst jails here can't even compare to those jails there. You know, it's killings left and right.
Were you always eyes open everywhere you went in that type of jail?
Yeah, because you're watching so many guys get killed there. You watch so many guys that get stabbed up in those jails. There's machetes, there's guns, there's the violence is just out of control. It's a different level of violence than in the States. So, you know, those penitentiaries, very, very, very dangerous.
You told me a story tonight. I don't know if I can ask you, that while you were in that jail, someone was making statements about you.
Yeah. You know, when I'm in the jail, for the people who don't know, Gotti was, you know, the prince's, listen, anybody watches Gladiator, you know, the father and the son, he was the dummy of the son, you know, and, you know, the guy was grassing. You can't change that. And his whole crew, it wasn't just him. He's like a 12 or 14 mop, so-called, what they want to say that they're captains, but they all ratted, all of them. And I tell people, you know, check their paperwork. Well, I was sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil. The half of Gotti and all his crew guys were giving me up. They were grassing me. So when I come home, you know, almost 3 years later, and I decide to take the stand against the guys that are already grassing, you know, the United States is a funny spot, because these idiots kiss ass on the mob. Me, I put down the mob. I talk about these guys because they're cowards. And, you know, I'm the only guy that walks around my neighborhood the way I do. And again, there's always a handful of tough guys, but most of them are on about nothing. I mean, I could go through names one after another, never got to a fist fight. They make these guys, and people don't understand the mafia world. It's like me and you being friends now. When you say to me, hey, John, you want to be in my crew? You know, we make our own mob family. You're my new underboss. As simple as that, because we're friends. And, you know, we take our cousins and we make them a captain, and they never did shit. They never even went out and got a cup of coffee. So, you know, when people are buying into this, they buy into it because they heard about the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. I'm not the average guy in the mob. I'm the guy doing all the work. Most of these guys, like I said, they never got into a fist fight. Forget about anything else. Well, they'll tell you they did a piece of work, and here's their piece of work. They'll tell you, hey, Brian, can you tell your friend Tommy and tell Tommy to tell Skippy to go kill this guy? Example, a guy, Weissman, got killed in the United States by us, by the Gambino family. 15 guys were involved in conspiracy. I mean, they're like a phone operating team. I mean, you got women that do that much talking to kill one guy. What's the, these guys were a joke. So when people are buying into this shit, I keep telling the kids, stop buying into this nonsense. They try to recruit you to do something because they can't do it. They give you all kinds of numbers. They killed this, they killed that. If you ask them, what did you do? They don't got an answer. And the shame of it is kids are buying into it. And that's why I keep telling kids, don't buy into these guys. I says, because I always challenge everybody, I'm very open. Sit next to me, get your lawyer next to me if you don't want to get next to me, and let's talk openly. Let me see your resume, what you really did.
Yeah.
So.
You can only pretend, can you, so long and you get found out, no matter how you are.
You know what? When you don't pretend, you end up like me. Getting stabbed in the head, getting stabbed in the stomach, getting baseball batted, because you're not picking and choosing the spots. You're just going. And, what happens. And I'm not a big guy. I'm not, guys run into guys like you that are tough guys. What are they going to do? They're not going to fight you. You know that. They're afraid. I says, and you're a real deal guy. So you're not just a guy that's talking. You used to go tax everybody and everybody knows it. So, those are the situations like, they're cowards, because if they weren't cowards, they would still come to you and say, all right, and man up. And after you hurt them, because you're going to hurt them, and then after, at least you respect them because they manned up a little bit.
What they've done to me, John, is they set me up. I'd taken 250 grand off them in about 3 months, a lot of money 30 years ago. They set me up. I went to a house, they stabbed me, hit me with bars, put guns to my head, threatened to shoot me, and didn't intimidate me one bit. I threw them all over like rag dolls, but I ended up with 376 stitches, lost 3 pints of blood, never said a thing, said I fell over. They actually got caught in the car because the road they were on was 3,000 cars went by every 10 minutes or something. They got caught. I went to court. I went to visit them in jail, got them all off. Said they were with me, that the police had got the blood, my DNA and everything. I went, that blood's off me because I was sparring with him that day. And that blood's in his Jeep because of me and on his clothes. I got them all off. Yeah, I don't make statements, but you get people saying bullshit and this, that, and the other happened. But not many people would have come out of that house. The doctors couldn't believe I never had a broken bone and I survived. Yeah. Yeah, you got the same. You had the same, didn't you, John? They
not only stabbed me, baseball batted me, they dragged me with a car, they hit me with a car. They left me for dead. I got up, I got the bat, and they didn't think I'd ever get up. I got up that day and I batted one of the guys. I caught him. I chased him down, then I collapsed and I was in that hospital for a year. But, this hasn't changed with me. This got guys constantly threatening me and, by the computer, naturally. And, these guys like Gotti, people don't know. The guy took me to court. He paid for a lawyer and had a guy testify that he heard that I was trying to kill him in Atlantic City a couple of years back. Not true. He offered my brother $15,000 to lie about me to see if he could get me locked up because he was worried that I might come after him. Not that I'm coming after him. And then him and his sister and family started sending letters to the FBI, to Washington, D.C., to my judge's chamber, that if I kill him or hurt him, that they're going to sue the government because they let out a serial killer. But then they're writing now that I never did anything, that I'm not about anything. And, so every day is a new story. And, they troll and block me on my Instagrams and things. I mean, this is child stuff. This is like very,
it's like playground.
They're not embarrassed. I don't get it. He's got a kid, this kid, Damian Trites, his new gopher that cleans his underwear or something, that's trolling me. Claims to be an ex-fighter that won 2 fights, lost, I think, 16. And he's just a punk kid that his son doesn't even bother with him because, kid the father. So, who's going to respect somebody that behaves like this? So, and the guy's never been on a street in his life. All of a sudden he's washing Gotti's car and he's trolling me. And, the problem is these guys don't understand the street. They don't understand to act like a man. They don't understand that if he gets in the wrong way, he better, and he tries to run into me. That's going to be a mistake, because I'm finished with that life. But if he's threatening me and he's going to run into me, if I was him, I wouldn't purposely try to run into me, but
neither would I.
Really Gotti uses these guys. He's got a couple of little punks like Casper and some other kid. These guys are like, I don't even know what to say with these guys, but they're trying to agitate me to get me to do something stupid, go back to jail. And my life's not on that. My life's about helping kids now and trying to do the right thing. So,
Yeah. David Aston's asked me to ask you a thing. He's asked me to ask John about his substance abuse after he'd been arrested, after being grassed.
Well, I'm sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil, and I left my family, and I left my kids, and I was with a couple of guys from the UK. Actually, I'm very friendly with. They were all with me when the lawyer called up, and we were calling with smuggled phones. Lawyer Joseph Carrazzo. He's an attorney, does a lot of work with the mob and the Gambino family. His family's affiliated with the Mafia. And he told me that Gotti was a rat. He says he's grassing. And he said not just him, all his guys, his right-hand man, Captain Scars, and Ronnie Wonham, another captain of the Gambino family, made an opening statement. I'm only a captain in the Gambino family, but Johnny Alite's a loose cannon and a killer. And if I'm not nice to him, he's going to kill me too. So I'm sitting in the pen and I'm getting these messages. And then the boss of the Bonanno family, Joe Messina, he's wearing a wire. His underboss, his brother-in-law, he's ratting. And these guys are a joke. I got to tell you, I'm Albanian. I'm not Italian. They're not loyal to their own thing, but they want to sell this nonsense to kids to follow them. And then all those other mob guys, because the guys that didn't rat, why aren't you killing any of these guys? You guys are gangsters. So, while these guys were all ratting and grassing in every crew, how come you didn't kill any of them? Yeah. I'm not the mob. I'm not John Gotti's son. How come any of you guys didn't do no work? So when they're writing and they're talking about me, I got to laugh. But it was okay for me to go shoot 30 guys for you. I said, so I'm the guy doing it. And when people don't believe it, they could just go read the Forbes magazine and see how accurate it is.
So because true.
That's 6 month investigation.
It is true.
Yeah. So,
But the thing is, over here, John, if someone grasses you, there's no such thing as a grass in a grass, because obviously there's no such thing, because if somebody's going to put you away for life and they make stories up about you, you've got to say something, or you're going to go to jail, and you've already done the jail for them, and then they want you to do more jail. Just make that. See, there's always two sides to a story. I say,
Brian, I ran through the mob guys. I beat up Gotti's uncle in prison. He was my cellmate. I beat up the underboss in Chicago in prison. I beat up the boss of Cleveland's best friend, and we almost killed him in prison. I came home. I beat up Gotti's brother-in-law. I left him for dead on the side of the Bell Parkway. I shot his friend Stevie, who I'm friends with now. They did nothing. I shot my cousin, was around them. They did nothing. I stabbed up Joe Kane and robbed him twice. They did nothing. I baseball batted a kid, Johnny, who was around, testified for Gotti. I almost killed him with the bat. They did nothing. I mean, I could go on. I shot 2 guys, guys around him, his brother-in-laws, 2 of them. They did nothing. I'm waiting. I'm going to die. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to die. I'm going to die old age, or I'm going to get some sort of disease, because what I've done to them, and they just keep trolling, grassing, trying to get me locked up, calling everybody. Now they got trolls trying to make me lose my temper. I say it again. That life's over for me. I'm retired. I'm trying to show kids, look at these cowards. Look at their actions. Look what they have done, and then don't be like them. Don't follow my life because I ruined it. Don't follow your life. Go to school, enjoy your life, get a pretty girlfriend, make some money. You don't got to be a doctor. Go drive a truck, but enjoy your life. That's the night.
You can work at McDonald's.
Simple, really.
You can work at McDonald's. You can work as a dustbin.
Make
a wage. Put food on the table, have a family, and have no police, no gangsters, no drug dealers come to your house and live a life of luxury. You don't need loads of money. You don't need a 6-bedroom house. You can sleep in one room. You don't need 20 tellies. You can only watch one television. You don't need 20 cars. You can only drive one car. A $500 car or a $50,000 still gets you to A to B.
I say you watch TV. How big do you want the TV? I mean, you get a house for 15,000 square feet. What are you going to do in that house? You can only sleep in one bed. I mean, it's the truth. Well, and here's the thing. As we get to be men and gentlemen and change our lives from that, I get to meet good people like David, you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I don't stay with the guys that Gotti stayed. These are weak guys. These are such weak men. And people got to say, how do their own families or kids respect them? Actually, the kid Damien's family don't respect him. His kid won't even, they don't want nothing to do with him because of his actions. And he's too stupid to see these kid actions. You're teaching other kids to behave like that. You should be ashamed of yourself. Instead of teaching these kids to be gentlemen, act like gentlemen. And if you're a real fighter, whoever's training you teaches you to respect the sport and the art and not to try to be a bully. And this is what I feel bad about the kids on the internets, because kids that go to school and they're getting bullied. Yeah. You got these jerk off punk men that are teaching these kids to do this by their actions. They're saying, well, this man's doing it. And they got them bullshitted that this is a good act to be doing. Instead of being gentlemen and saying to kids, don't do that. Be the guy that's sticking up for the guy that is bullying guys. Don't be because these are such weak things to do. And, you know, weak men stay with weak men. Somebody who's strong, you know, I like to stay with guys like yourself that are a gentleman and strong personality and men, real men, so you can have a conversation. And that doesn't mean you got to be a fighter to be a man. Just be a gentleman.
No. Yep. Yeah. But you get these trolls, they hide behind a computer. They pretend they're all these different names. They won't even come up with their own name. They don't even say, they're pretending to be whatever different bogus names. That's why they call them trolls. And I don't see what the big thing, what they call it fishing over here, where they cast the net or cast the rod. I see how many people we can catch.
Well,
I just, yeah.
You got to ask yourself, and the Gotti name, because of the father was, you know, famous, whatever. You got to ask, you know, the guys that are listening and watching, you got to say to yourself, I want to take the son because people know I can't stand the way he behaves. I said, they got to say to themselves, well, let's not talk about me. Let's ask Gotti, why'd they make you in the mob? What'd you exactly do besides being the father's son? So this is your father and son job. So if your father's a made guy, they make you a made guy, they make the next guy a made guy, and none of you ever got to a fist fight. And, you know, so tell me what you did. Tell me what, because I know how he got made. He got made off a murder I did. So, but if that's not true, and he says that's not true, so tell us what you did then. Tell us why they made you this gangster. What'd you do? It's just, you know, because he never did nothing. And, you know, these guys are a fraud. They're perpetrating a fraud, and no one's calling them on it. And the media brings up this mafia shit, and I can go through 100 names with you that these guys never got to a fist fight. Forget about anything else. And this needs to get to the forefront with these dumb stories I'm hearing from every guy on the internet. I says, because you got one guy after another telling, but they never talk about themselves. Never. So I want to know why. I mean, there's a couple of guys that are friends of mine. I bring them on my shows, like Anthony Ruse. They were street guys, or Bobby Louisi, or Anthony Earl. I brought some guys. They're good guys, gentlemen. But I'm talking about the guys that aren't, that are telling stories, and they never specifically talk about themselves. I just, why not? You're all grassed. You're all cooperators. Talk. You can't get damned up for it. You know, I really want somebody to call them out and ask them, why aren't you just talking about yourself?
I might be able to get them on my show, John. I'll interview them.
Yeah.
I'll ask them.
Let's have me coming on the show here, and I'll just talk about you the whole time. So, you know, it's easy because we can tell 1,000 stories about you because you actually were action. You were actually getting shot up, stabbed up, battered, jails. You know, it's easy for me to tell people, you know, because they want to hear stories. Like, I'll tell you this story about Brian. I could talk for 2 years about you. You know that. Yeah. Why can't they talk about themselves? Why do they need to talk about other people?
Because they haven't got no past.
You got no past. You know that.
Yeah. It's like being a top, say, actor. And just because your dad's a top actor, he doesn't mean say you're going to be the actor. That's the analogy we get. John Gotti in it. So, because his dad was the boss, now he's the boss because he's the son. But that'd be like saying a tennis player who's great, his son, you can be the tennis player now, but you've got to do something.
I told David during the trial, his lawyers, his whole defense was everything I did was for the father, all the violence, not him. He's not violent. And they blamed everything on me and the father. And all his witnesses said the same thing. Johnny is just a fucking mad dog, violent bastard. And their defense for the kid is he's just a spoiled little kid, rich kid that never did anything, and he's soft, and he's not violent. So, but then why are you projecting that into the media now that you're this gangster? It's fine if you're not a gangster, but stop bullshitting people that you're a gangster. because you're trying to influence kids to go into that life. And I'm telling the kids, don't believe these assholes. These assholes are grassing. These assholes never got into a fight. These guys are just trying to use guys like you to ruin your life because they're not man enough to do shit themselves.
Yeah. What was the worst, scariest situation you were in, John? Was that when they all got you that time and tried to kill you?
Nah,
Have you been worse?
Yeah, I mean, you listen, there were some serious guys that were trying to plot to kill me for a long time. And,
Yeah.
and we talk about these guys like he's a very good friend of mine now. So, me and him talk every day. They were actually, now these guys were serious killers, tough guys. This kid, Tabita, that I'm very friendly with Anthony and some of his crew. They were the opposite crew of me. But, people ask me, wow, you really respect these guys. Because they didn't fake their way through the life. They got away from the life. They're good family guys. They're gentlemen. They're businessmen. They don't want no problems either. And they say the same thing as me. But if somebody made the mistake to bother one of us, no, we're all very good friends. And we really did all the work. These fucking frauds never did nothing. So how are they going to intimidate us? So they're going to just keep writing us? Or they're going to try to set us up to do something stupid. That ain't going to happen. I don't have the ego to prove anything. Obviously, if these guys were tough guys, they wouldn't be writing like that. They wouldn't talk like that.
Yeah, the thing is, John, these guys who are supposed to be the tough guys have gone to you to do the jobs. So they know what you're about because they've given you the jobs to do. 30-odd people killed or whatever. So they know what you're about, but you know what they're about because they can't do it themselves. So they give it to you.
And then they say, well, he's nothing. Okay, well, I'm nothing. Why do you keep talking about me? Get lost. So, they can't, you can't change the story. Listen, they're trying very hard to change a narrative. I tell everybody, well, you got a lawyer, go look at the paperwork. Go see if they were grassing when I was in. Why would a lawyer, Joseph Carrazzo, is an attorney, tell Gangland News Gotti's a rat? Why did the New York Post and the Daily News, while I'm in the penitentiaries, headlines, Gotti's a rat? He had a singing career. Why'd they do it? Just because they wanted to pick on the guy one day and tell everybody he's a rat? Why did the government print all the discovery that he's ratting? But it ain't just him. It was his whole crew. They all ratted. And none of them squeezed a gun. So these guys, they're not about nothing.
Did this same happen to Sammy the Bull?
Listen, I'm friendly with Sammy, but again, these guys have a history different than my history. Right. They got titles, and I'm friends with them. I got titles, but no one asks specifically what any of these guys did themselves.
No, what they did. I'm saying, did he get grassed off Gotti as well?
His case is a little different. Gotti got caught on tapes, bad mouthing him. He didn't do what his son did. He wasn't meeting with the government and ratting.
Right.
So that's between. That's a thing. Back and forth. I do some talks about it, and you have different opinions on how that went, and but the father was a gangster, at least Gotti. I mean, he was a gangster. I loved the father at one time. He was a street guy. He made some mistakes because he was very boisterous. So that I didn't like, but listen, they can't take it away from him. He knew how to control people. He controlled a lot of guys, and he maneuvered. He made some fatal mistakes by bringing his brother Pete. Well, I liked his brother Pete actually, but the guy never got into a fist fight. He had no business in this life. This is like all that nepotism bullshit, and the guy's running a company, and whether it's McDonald's and he's the owner, he makes his brother the CEO. The brother doesn't know how to cook a hamburger. So this is what they do with these guys. They have no business in this life. So,
apart from you, John, who's the toughest Mafia person or toughest guy you come across?
The toughest mob guy that I knew was in my generation or older than me. The older guys, Fat Andy Ruggiano is by none the biggest boss, tough guy, killer, lived by the code, died by the code, gangster. There ain't nobody more than him. His kids were good guys. I'm still very friendly with them. I talk about them all the time. And everybody screwed his family as soon as he got locked up. And, so this is the part about the loyalty. They're full of shit. When Andy walked into a room, Fat Andy, everybody saluted at attention. I mean, they all work for him. John Gotti, the work from talking about the father. They all work for Andy. Everybody bowed to him. Willie Boy Johnson, the Indian, was a tough bastard. And I always speak very highly of Johnny Cornelia. Johnny Cornelia is one of the guys that was accused of saying that he killed Paul Castellano. Gentleman, tough guy, nice guy, money guy. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I really liked in the life that were legitimate gangsters, old school gangsters, don't talk like idiots, and did a lot of work. I mean, real guys, not like some of these fucking frauds now. These guys now just talk like jerk. And that's the problem. The fathers that are gangsters are actually teaching their kids and lying to them that they're about something. And the kids really believe their fathers are tough guys. They don't know. And then the kids act like the fathers. There's a big problem with that. So they're not even man enough to be honest with their own kids. I mean, this is what they're about. They just are full of shit. And
do you think the Mafia's nowhere near as what they were in the 70s, 50s, 60s?
They don't even know their own rules. You got other mob guys hitting guys, cursing guys, threatening guys. In the 50s and 60s, that was true. If you hit them, you kill them. Now you can butcher them if you want. Nobody's doing nothing. These guys never do anything. They got a new law that they're not allowed to kill. They made that law because none of them will kill. They're just full of shit. Guys,
is it like a rigged game then?
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you a funny story. Yeah. My friend got made with the Genovese family. My friend. They stripped him down and made him wear his underwear only. They want to make sure you're not wiring, during his ceremony. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, these ceremonies are a joke. They're like little kids. Like, you ever watch Jackie Gleason? Like, you're going to be a raccoon. You go, they're making a burn it. What is that crap? Just say, listen, we're a made guy now. What is these stupid ceremonies? I mean, it's almost imbecilic. I mean, the people don't realize grown men going in a room and saying some dumb shit and burning burning a thing and swearing loyalty and pricking your finger. I mean,
it sounds like the Girl Guides.
Yeah. I can abuse these guys every which way, the way they behave. I mean, it's just a fucking joke.
You're funny guy, you, John. Watch me get whacked now.
Listen, I'll die this way. I'll die at least like a man, not like these fucking
exactly,
guys.
Mate. I mean, you get them, all these pretend people. So have you ever been with a really good friend? You don't have to tell the name or anything, but being with a good friend and they've been killed, who've been within your crew, that type of thing when you were working? Yeah.
My cousin was shot in the head, and his son later on stayed with me and was involved in some murders with me. But yeah, I mean, listen, we lost tons of guys, killed, stabbed up, shot. I'll
tell you a funny story. I went to attack somebody for £20,000. I goes to the door and he pulls the gun out of me, dark, looked like a 9mm. Pulls the gun. I thought I'd run at him because you can't outrun a bullet. Run from a knife charge a gun. He shot me, and it was a yellow, like a ball bearing thing. So it wasn't a real gun. It was a toy gun type of thing, a ball bearing. So some people.
When I was in California, a guy shot. He had one of those Saturday night specials. This is not a Marvel story. It was just I was there with two guys, and two guys we were sitting on the car. The guy gets an argument. He was a big guy, 6'7", but skinny, and he pulls the gun on me. So I go for him, right? And we end up on the floor, and he shoots me in the face twice. The gun don't go off. So I get the gun from him. He starts running, and I shoot at him, and it goes off. So it'll just show sometimes it's just God or whatever. I don't.
I know. That's how a divine intervention, I call it. We went to have a fight once in an area not far from here, and it's about 12 of us. There's about 20 of them jumped out. A couple of people had bats, went to fight them, run at them. 6 of them pulled handguns. They're on them little, handmade Dillinger type thing. They all shot at me, missed me. I was 22 stone. The guy behind me was 12 stone. He got shot. It's got to be. I think God saved both of us. I really
I got stabbed in the head with an ice pick on this head. Actually, I got a scar across, goes that down. Yeah. I had my mouth had about 70 stitches in my mouth with another thing. Yeah. But anyway, when I get stabbed, your adrenaline's running. So I look at one of the guys. He's a made guy now. He was there, when it happened. And I look at him and I go, how am I? How do I look? And you could see his face, because my head was it was blown up from, I guess, the knife going through my head. And I didn't, you're a kid, so you don't realize, I'm not even trying to get to the hospital. I'm still fighting. And then after we leave there, they hit me with a car. And then they baseball bat me. I broke my arm. I broke my jaw. I mean, I was messed up. And you're too stupid to realize that blood clot, you'll die from the blood clot in your head because of the. So when I finally go to emergency surgery, they put me in emergency surgery. I'm in the hospital for a long time. They put the tubes in my head and drained me. But you're a kid. I don't know the medical. Now I know because you're a little older. And I was too stupid to realize it could have died any second from the trauma to my head and the stab wound. But, I got stabbed there. I mean, these are just incidents after incidents. I mean, I caught some bad beatings over the years. I got batted and, I got caught short and,
All part of the job description.
Yeah, it's part of the job. I love when guys tell me that. He got beat up. No shit. We're on the street. That's what happens. I mean, it's not like.
I don't know how many times my sister phoned me and said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Somebody's just told me you've been shot to death." And I don't know how many times I've been killed or shot, or people have phoned me up and say, "You're dead." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm watching the television." And there's another thing when they tell you they're going to do it, they never do it. It's all bullshit.
Well, they tried to hit me a lot. They came on my property. I had a shootout, and then I had, somebody said, whatever. But these stories are one after another. But one time, so after that, they were trying to hit me, and FBI agents come to my mother's house and tells my mother, "Listen, we haven't seen your son for 2 days. We think that he's been killed," because they knew there was a hit on him. So. My mother doesn't really blink an eye. She's used to it, So they said to her, so my cousin calls her up and he goes, "I got a theory." And she says, what is it? This is, he's a funny bastard, but he's an idiot. And he says, "I don't know. It's either he's killed, he's on a run, or he found a really hot girl and he's in a hotel somewhere for 3, which I really was. I was with a girl in a hotel for a couple of days because I knew they were looking for me. So I was trying to cool it down for a couple of days. So I got a girl, I got a hotel. I stayed there like 2 or 3 days. And then I waited till it cooled down. Then I went after him. Then I was just getting the first couple of days out of the way. But you think about it now, it's just normal living for us back then. This is what we did,
Well, when I first started off taxing, we'd tax little bits and bobs. And in the end, what I started to do was to think, I'd tax them when the dealers come in with a big lump, not the little dealers. So the big dealers come in, and I'd find out when he was coming, he'd become a 10 key of cannabis or whatever, or 2 or 3 key of coke, instead of getting them. And then I thought, no, go to the next level, let them sell it, and then tax them when they've got the money. And then you don't have to sell the drugs, you can't get caught. So you're always learning in that game. And I mean, a few times we'd go to doors, my partner lead up, he was stabbed, shot to death, shot a few times, killed. Another one, Speedy, was shot to death. So it is a dangerous game, taxing people, but because people have got money, drug dealers will pay to get you killed and things like that. But I was lucky, by the grace of God, same as you. I didn't think I'd have made 30 probably when I was running about. I didn't care.
Listen, I went into a drug house with a bunch of Colombian guys that somebody fixed me up with, and I had counterfeit money, hundreds. So I was buying 2 or 3 keys. I don't remember how many keys I was buying, and I brought one of the guys in with me. He was a Gotti guy also, big kid. And in the middle of the deal, he got paranoid. And he ran out and left me. And I held my, myself, I held my cool in there. They had 3 or 4 guys loaded up. And I gave them about $20,000 in real money. The rest was all counterfeit. And later on, they found out it was counterfeit. They don't do nothing there. I walk out there, thank God, because the idiot left me. And then I wanted to kill that guy. And I was going to kill him. I had him in a car. God, he let him run out. I was going to kill him. But later on, they try to hit me, these same guys. I'm walking home, and they machine gun at me. And listen, either they got the worst aim in the world or just God, just because they hit everything but me. So I should have been dead because they had me. And, they kept looking for me. And, this is just part of everyday life back then. I just had a lot of guys trying to kill me.
I say that. I say I should have been killed 1,000 times. But it's only God can have saved us. I'll tell you a funny story. Went taxing. There's these black guys in this house, yardies, tough guys from Leeds where were selling crack cocaine. So I've gone to this big Victorian house and I said, "That's the house there, Brian." So I've kicked the door in, ran in to tax them, got the wrong house. All the people at the table having their dinner. They went, "Brian, it's next door, they're selling drugs." By the time I got out, they'd sussed me and they'd run away. So you get some funny stories.
I did it when I'm out of the life. My ex-wife called me up. This is about 5 years ago. Her and her husband, they said my daughter had a problem. And so they got a phone track somehow. So they're on the phone with me. They're telling me where to go, and I'm going, and I go to this house, right? I go to the house. I go, you sure this is it? She goes, yeah. So I call one of my friends. He goes, John, I'm not coming. What are you, out of your mind? Anyway, I kicked the door in. So when I kicked the door in, the guy's on the top of the steps. He's a nice guy. And he's like, I go, where's my fucking daughter? And he's like, I think you got a mistake. And I started to come up the stairs, right? I got a bat with me. I ain't got no knife. I got a bat. And he's like, listen. He's panicking. Then his wife came, and then I realized I'm at the wrong house. The neighbors called the police. They come with 5-6 cars a couple of years ago. And the cops get me out of the house, and I'm in trouble. You know, I'm on parole still. I got, you know, but I didn't care. It's your daughter. You know, you think your daughter's in trouble. Of course. And the cops were all right. I mean, they were nice guys. They take me in, and they go, listen, if the guy doesn't press charges, you're good. So they talked to the guy, and the guy just, no, I don't want to press charges on him, because he found out what it was about. He was a nice guy. I went back to the house. I tried to pay for the door. He goes, no, he didn't even want me to pay for the door. He was just really a nice guy. And I said, listen, I'm sorry. I just panicked. I thought my daughter was in trouble, that somebody kidnapped her. And, you know, he was a nice guy.
The police used to say, I used to drive a Cosworth. I used to do a bit of rally driving with a couple of friends. I had this Cosworth that could do 165 mile an hour. It was a flying machine, Ford Cosworth. And I used to say, why don't you fucking stop? I said, because I've always got somebody in the boat on drugs. And I remember getting off my head one night, and I kidnapped one. He had one in the boat, he had one in the back seat. Not tied up or anything. I goes to this rave club, popping ecstasy, dancing all night. I thought, shit, I forgot about them. And I went back in the car, and we're still in the boat. And I got them all popped an egg in each of the mouths, raving for 2 days and giving £200 each. I said it was the best kidnap we've ever had. But mad stories you get doing, you John. You couldn't make them up.
You go on and listen. One of my own friends he got killed too. But at the time they had a problem somewhere, and I show up. They call me up on my car phone, and I show up, and he shoots the shit out of him, and I'm on top of one of the guys. To this day, I keep saying, I don't know how he didn't hit me. First of all, he's drunk. Second, he was doing coke. He was high. And afterwards, I'm yelling at him. I go, you fucking stupid. How are you shooting like that? He goes, I know what I'm doing. I laughed. I know what I'm doing. Guy ain't he can't use a gun. He's just a gangster street doggy kid. You know, and I'm like, how he didn't hit me? I'm telling you, there's another time I'm sitting in a bar, and a guy showing me a gun. We're in a bar, in a bathroom, and he's showing me a gun because he wants to buy me, and the gun goes off. The bullet goes all over the place. When we look, the bullet was actually behind me in the wall. I don't know how it didn't hit me. There's so many stupid incidences that just, you know, sometimes maybe it's just God, and people don't believe in God. I do. And I just think it wasn't, you know, it wasn't my time. Maybe my time is now, what I'm doing, helping kids.
What you do now, John's amazing, helping kids and turning people's heads around and telling the truth about the mafia. It's not all glory, because you might make that money for so long, big gold watches and big cars and everything, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody grasses you up. Somebody shoots you, somebody kills you, or kills your brother or your mum or your dad. It's just not worth it. You've got to get. I think you've got to get a trade, go to college, learn.
I just think that 98% of these guys, and not that I think, I know from experience, they're not about anything. That's why I keep trying to tell the kids. There's a handful of tough guys out there. I know who they are. They know I know who they are, and I give them the credit as being street. Not that I agree with their life, but you know, there's guys from each crew that I know, because I know all the guys. I know who the bosses are. I know who's tough. I know who's legitimate. But for the most part, none of them, 98% of them never did nothing. And it's not what people think. You know, they ask guys to sneak a guy, or they ask their friend to get the guy, or they're grassing guys. And, you know, I've exposed so many of these mob guys from every family. The bosses down are grassing. So what makes you believe in this organization since they're all grassing? If you got to wear... And I left that out. When my friend, they asked him to strip with the wire, I told my friend, you should have told those guys that were making you, that were doing the ceremony, to strip, because they're the ones that are out. All the bosses are out. I said, so what are they talking about? You got to trust. And so now you got the bosses all ratting. So if you're an underling, why would you take an order from them? Because you know they're all ratting. You know, so why would you trust them? Or they're going to do a spin story like Gotti's trying to do with me. Just keeps talking about me, and, you know, and the documents are documents. I'm sitting in a penitentiary. You're a rat. There's nothing to say. After that, you know, I didn't hide the fact that after that I came in. Yeah, I came in. I went after all of them in every which manner. You guys grasp me, it's over.
Yeah, well, you get friends. I had a friend who used to have a gym, and you go in the gym, you put your keys behind the desk, you take your coat, you get changed, you get ready. He had the cops outside, the regional crime squad, national crime squad, over here, like the FBI over your way type of thing. And they're outside, he's beat the car for them, and they bugged my car with a tracking device. And it was in VHS frequency, but it would only go on for 2 seconds and go over 20. And a friend of mine was XSCS, he had the spy shop, and we went down there. So there's all that stuff. If you had that type of stuff too, obviously you must have. Yeah.
I've been telling some FBI sting shows on my, I got my show, the Johnny Alite Mafia Truth Show on that YouTube, if anybody wants to know. And what I'm doing this week, I've done a couple of shows on the sting operations against me, my organization, because, I had a good 100, 200 guys that work for me. So, when people say I'm pretty good with names and times and places, and, so when they talk nonsense, I can spit it out. I can spit out the locations where things happen. I got a good memory. So it's
Did you? When I was in the day, they would pull me in for murders that was nothing to do with me. People, I went to the police station one day to report my license stolen, and there was a shooting 26 miles away. But I was in the police station, so the police come for me, said, "You've done this shooting," blah blah, and they got me outside later on, about 6 hours after the shooting, got me at my friend's house, arrested me, but I knew where I was, so I let them nick me, took me to court. The judge said, "Well, where were you?" I said, "I've just remembered where I was. I was in the police station reporting my license stolen for the cop." They adjourned the case. They come back at 2 o'clock. The policeman come in with his notebook. Well, he came in the police station reporting his license stolen at 2 o'clock. He left at 3. The shooting took place at 2:30. So it was like 30 miles away. So I used the police as a... Yeah. So have you ever been have you ever been with someone, like undercover cops trying to set you up or trying to infiltrate, pretend to be?
Yeah. I just did one with a couple FBI agents trying to set me up. I have another one I'm going to be doing about they tried surveillance. At one time, a rabbi in Jersey, where my other house was, he killed his wife. So somebody accused him of hiring me to do it, which was later on found it untrue. They got the guys, they ratted each other. But I lived in a house, and behind my house to the left was another house. I'm going to do this show in a week or two. Anyway, they asked to surveil me, and they went to a house that I knew the people. So the people end up tipping me that they set up a surveillance. And I was sitting in a jacuzzi. I had a jacuzzi in my backyard. A helicopter was taking pictures. They put lights on me. They did some. I had some huge investigations against me, obviously, because of all the shooting I was doing. And they tried several different sting operations against me over the years, and different agents trying to come into me and set me up. But especially when you're in that life, you're very paranoid, and you're not stupid. You know when you're involved.
Yeah, I remember getting a phone call from a friend of mine, Paddy Watson, who's no longer with us now. He's very good with the scanners. He said, "Look out your window where you're living." The cop was across the road, pretending to be going to work. He'd been at the bus stop for about 2 hours, and it was Operation Gorilla, because they were the size of me at the time. And they spent millions of pounds, £3 million or something, trying to put me away. I went, "Just give me $1 million, I'll go to Spain and retire." Instead of wasting all this money. But when they're onto you, when I used to have the rave clubs that come up and say, "Can we get some ecstasy?" I went, "I don't know what you're talking about." They always try it on with a little, but they're so transparent.
I lived on a dead end street in my neighborhood, and they tried a sting operation against me, and they were sitting in the schoolyard I was telling you they said I stole the machines from, but my whole block lived with me since I'm a baby. The whole people lived there, so they used to, stand up for me. So if they knew there was an investigation or they seen something, they would tell me. But they went to the school on the 3rd floor, and they set up cameras to watch my house to see who was visiting.
Right.
But the superintendent of the school was a friend of mine. So again, I got before. So these are all one after another of things and especially when you grow up on an area where everybody's kind of like an aunt and uncle on your block. They know me since I'm a baby, so they're all looking out for me. As much as you're a gangster and a criminal, they don't see you that way. They see me as, they used to call me Little Johnny Alite. So they look at me as Little Johnny Alite, this little kid, scrappy kid running around, and they're trying to help me stay free. So it's part of the loyalty of the neighborhood.
Our friend David Ashton said, we talked about the night, we're going to try and do a change of legislation so trolls can be found a lot easier for the government to find them, that maybe the Facebook people, because you can't phone Facebook, you can only report it. You don't get anywhere with them whatsoever. And I've found out 80% of children who are bullied commit suicide have been trolled.
It's really terrible because listen, for a guy, we're gangsters, ex-gangsters, street guys. For us, you get frustrated. I can only imagine a kid that goes to school and then comes home and you can't get away from these kids. But this is the reason why it's so important to go after the adults, because they're teaching kids for this crazy behavior. It's disgusting. I said, it really is disgusting when they do this stuff. And I hope that David and I'll get involved or any way I can to try to help, because we got to really help these kids have a normal enjoyment life, because really now what's going on is crazy. These poor kids don't have a chance at life, and especially now with this other stuff going on.
But people like myself and John Lee can get bullied. Anyone can get bullied down the throat. So these kids who got mental health problems and things. There's one over here. There was about 6 girls ganged up on her, told her to take an overdose, and the young girl was only 13, something like year old, took the tablets, killed herself, and they were all laughing at her online. I thought disgusting. So there's got to be something.
You know what it is, Brian? But it goes back to their parents. It goes back to the mother. Who's teaching them this stuff? This is why I'm always talking about Gotti and these guys, because this is what they do. Don't they realize who they're helping? They're influencing kids to behave the same way. They go because they say them behaving, or the parents. Why aren't they talking to these kids? And what's in their lives that they're so angry or jealous or envious and teach their kids to behave this way? Because someone's teaching their kids to do this. So because kids, you copy what they see. So when they see, you want to grab the adult and you want to sit him in a room with us and say, explain to me, when we catch him, say you can catch him on the trolling. You got to tell me, explain to me as a fucking man or as a lady, as a woman, why would you do this? What are you accomplishing? Do you really hate yourself that much inside that you do this? Because you're only projecting your own insecurities and hate. So, what's wrong with your life that you're doing this or teaching kids to do this? Because it's really a shame what happens to kids.
You've got it spot on. Absolutely spot on. What they call narcissistic personality disorders, most of them. And it's called reflecting what they are themselves. So they'll call you a grass, a troll or whatever, but that's what they are themselves. So they're trying to project it onto you, what they really are. But these kind of people who do it can't stand themselves, they hate themselves, they're so insecure, they can't even put their own names on there. And they'll pick on people like you and I and other people. But the same people, if you grab them by the throat, they'd piss their pants on the doorstep. Just pure terrible. But I can't see this, to sit all day making false accounts up to call people and then make another false account. There's a lot more to life than sitting there doing that all day long and hurting people.
See this phone 2 days in a row. I don't know if you see the phone. 2 days in a row, I got the Gotti family nonstop on fake apps writing my phone like children. Not for like one time, but day and night now for 2 days. And I'm saying to themselves, what do they think they're accomplishing when they do it? I just erase it. And then I erase it. And you can tell by the content what they're writing. It's that.
Exactly. So, spot on, John.
But there is no embarrassment. The last time somebody asked him, he blamed it on his sisters. You imagine this? You're a grown man and you blamed it on your sisters. So, this is your answer to behaving like a bitch. I mean, I don't know what words. I've tried everything. I called him a Girl Scout. I call guys like him Girl Scouts. I call him a punk. I call him, you're not a man. You look in the mirror and you can't stand yourself because you were never a street guy. And you wanted to look up. I guess you wanted to make your father proud and you never did. Your father died being ashamed of you. So that's the problem with him. He doesn't have an identity. And you can not even take my word for it. If I could line up all his friends and show you who he stays with, you'll know him.
That's why. Because there's an old change. Yeah. There's an old change on you are what your friends are.
I stay with gentlemen, whether they're a doctor, whether they're a cab driver, but men that behave, they wouldn't even think of doing this stuff. There's a different quality. One of my best friends is a great athlete, never in a fist fight. He's the biggest man I know. And I say it over and over because I want kids to understand you don't got to be a fighter to be a man and a tough guy. You can be a gentleman, tough guy, and never have a fight in your life. Just be a gentleman. Have a little pride in your behavior.
Yeah.
So, and the kids really got to understand that you don't got to be full of muscles or work out or whatever. Just be yourself and smile and have a good life. And
you still do a bit of training, John? Because you
Yeah,
really trainer, weren't you?
Yeah. After we're off here, I'm going to the gym and box a little bit.
Yeah, I do myself still. Not as heavy and not as much, but still doing it. You get addicted to it, don't you? But it's a good thing to keep healthy.
Yeah,
You look like a Hollywood movie star sitting there. But
I drink too many martinis now. That's the problem. I smoke
martinis. Yeah. So, what's in store for you for the future, John? What do you think?
I'm doing a TV series now out of Sweden and Denmark with a couple of guys actually from the UK are involved in a project. They're doing a series on a friend of mine, his life story. This guy Klaus, that we've been best friends since the 90s. And we were in jail together in Brazil. So they're doing a series on them. It's going to be called Nordic Narcos. So we started filming and casting guys to play our parts. And so we're in the middle of that project. I got another book that's out in about a month. And then I just authored another book with another guy, Jimmy. That'll be out. So I got those 2 books. And I'm filming something out of Italy. So I'm pretty busy. I got 2 shows coming out this year already filmed. I filmed them in the UK. I'm involved with teams from the UK that did the Netflix thing. And so
we'll bump into you then. So them trolls, what you're saying, the same MO every time, the same analogy, how they write, logistics, everything's the same. And they try to be different names, but it's the same person over and over again because of the way the comments.
Well, I got this guy, Damien, I was talking about. He knows Gotti, right? Now, I don't know this kid from anywhere. So why would a kid that you don't know, he's not a gangster, he's never been in the street, he's a lost soul, he doesn't have a son that'll talk to him. But I just wanted, you'd love to get these guys and ask them, say, tell me why you're implementing yourself, whether it's true or not true, whatever's going on with me and that clown of a kid Gotti. Okay, but why you implement yourself? This is the part I want to understand, because he's too stupid to understand. If you've seen the record of guys I ran through about the Gottis and their family, Gotti doesn't care if I kill him. Gotti doesn't care if I butcher him. He wants me to, actually, because he was hoping I'd do something like that and go back to jail. He could give a shit what happens to this dumb kid. But what makes this dumb kid think that he should implement himself and bother me every day? Who knows? You don't know what's in their brain. I guess because they want attention. I guess because they're insecure. I guess because they never were a gangster, and that's what he's insecure about. He wanted to be a gangster because being a gangster is not a good life. So I don't know, the idiot. Maybe just all that insecurity. I have no idea, and I said to a guy the other day, he better not think, well, I don't know what he's listening to, thinking you're going to purposely try to run into me, because that'll be the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. And, he's too stupid to know that, maybe. I mean, I'm not here because I faked my way. The FBI and Interpol and the whole world didn't chase after me and charge me with all this stuff because it's a lie. So, my story is pretty much out there. And I'm not a quiet guy, so I'm very aggressive about what I did do, because I want kids to know the rest of them are full of shit, and don't follow them, don't listen to them, listen to me. It's a shitty life, and it ain't the violence, like you said, that you can't handle jail. It's the emotional pain, and the ability of not going to eat a steak somewhere or a burger or lay on your couch or shower or be with a woman or whoever you want to be with, but you're losing your life for nothing, for exactly nothing. Do something positive.
The thing about that and all, being a gangster, you get pulled in for a couple of shootings. They've had me in for 2 murders, and 2 of the murders, I was in jail actually when they were killed.
Well, this is not, because the situation is, once we were on that, everything's you. No matter what, you or not you, it is you. Yeah. And these guys that want to be you, they only want to be you on the good parts. They don't want to be you with all the suffering, the shooting, getting shot, stabbed, bad. They only want to be you for the good parts, and they want to challenge you. So you know what I tell them? Go do the 30, 40 years on the street like you did, and you could be you. But they don't see that part. They only want to see the part that they're jealous of you. They envy you because they can't be you. We understand the psychology of it. That's not difficult to understand. But I always want to talk to the mother and fathers of these people and say, what the hell did you raise here? What kind of guy did you raise? I mean, what kind of man? And do something positive.
Yeah, but some people, what they do is some people, they live off like your coattails, my coattail, they live off you. I know Brian Cockerill, I've been out in nightclubs and your brother's in, or this brother's in, or I've had a fight with 3 lads, I've knocked 2 of them out.
Right.
And the other one said to me, I'm going to get my brother. I said, well, go on, get him. What's your brother's name? He went, Brian Cockerill. So he's threatening me with me.
I did it. I've been threatened with me too. You don't know who I know. It's me talking about. People are crazy. It's really hilarious. So a guy threatened me, and he says to me, and then he knew it was me, and he says to me, John, I'm so sorry, I didn't know it was you. So I left. If it wasn't me, it's okay to threaten me. It's okay then. If I was just some other guy, then it's no big deal. It's crazy how they think.
And you get the blame and all because you've got a big name. I'll get John Alite. I'll get John. I'll get Brian or whatever. And they use your name, and you're getting pulled. There's guys come looking for you with guns or knives or for fights. You haven't even done anything. It's other people with the mouths.
I got beat up. They were telling a story a couple of years ago that I was in a club and I got beat, all lies. And then another story where they said I walked in with some guys and I heard a guy, and the guys are looking. Well, I was there at the club actually, but I wasn't involved in the incident. So, this is just what goes on, fake story after fake story. And I was talking about my kids, and one's in jail, the other 2 kids are in good shape, they're tough kids. And I said on one of my shows, I said, if my kids ever do that, I said, I'll beat them all over the street. And then I started laughing. I go, take that back. I can't beat them up anymore. They'll beat me up. Yeah. My kids are good kids. They listen because I don't want them, they got a couple fights over me. And I told guys, and I'm very public about this. I don't want my kids doing what I used to do. I don't want them looking for the kids to do anything. Because then I said, I will forget my changed life if it came to, anybody ever fucking with my kids. And, and I, somebody was talking about it, and a woman and a guy that I know. And I told the woman, listen, I'm not talking like a gangster. I'm talking like as a father, because I don't know any mother or father won't protect their family. Anybody across the board. Nobody wants whatever incidences I have in my life, you could take it here. If you still want to take it there, take it there. I don't hide. But I don't think that would be a good idea for too many people. Unless they come with 20 guys like they usually try to do with me. But, I'm not that 30-year-old guy anymore, but I still can,
Speak for yourself, I am. Yeah.
I got to start staying with you more, just in case they try to jump me.
Age is just a number.
Yeah, I tell them all the time, I go, listen, I had a hip replacement, I had 2 tumors in my throat I had taken out. Yeah. I go, listen, it's 8, but listen, as well as I do. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not worried about it.
Of course it does. Yeah. But you can only live your life once, can't you? So you can't live it twice.
I joke.
I'm getting some instructions from the wife here. What's it?
It's from David Ashton as well.
What does he say?
Right, he said all that.
Say you're looking forward to working together in the future. Podcasts and things. Yeah, of course we are going to be
about John's books.
John's books. We're going to advertise your books, whatever book you've got there, John, and we'll probably get these podcasts. I'll probably sneak on your podcast if I can. Yeah.
And the links for John's podcast are going to be below.
Yeah, all the links will be below for your podcasts and everything, John.
Signed bats.
I appreciate it.
Oh, signed bats. David's asking for David Ashton.
Yeah, bats, baseballs.
Not the one with the blood on.
A guy owns a knife company, so we've been signing. Me and Anthony Ruggiano have been signing knives. So I told him, I'm only signing these knives if you promise they're only going to be used in the kitchen. I says, because the mentality is I'm like, then you want me to sign the package? He goes, no, I want you to open them up and sign the actual knife. And I go, that's a little weird, but okay, whatever. Yeah. The bats, I was a big baseball player, so I get it. The baseballs, and I
remember years ago when you used to have a bat. The analogy would be have a ball in with a glove and the baseball bat. So if the cops pulled you, and I'm just on the field playing with the kids with the ball, but if you got caught just with a bat, they could nick you for the defense.
I got it in my car now. The other day, I got 2 knives that I signed, the butcher knives. They're in my car. I got another knife, a fishing knife. I'm supposed to sign that. I got a bat in my car. If a cop pulls me over now, they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm going to look. I signed it.
I thought you changed it, John.
It's not for use anymore. It's only for fans. So I give it to
Yeah. I imagine.
And in my community, and they'll be, I speak so highly of our community. Like anybody, everybody's proud of heritage. I'm proud of our heritage. The Albanian community are great people with me, and so I stay loyal to them. I meet them as much as I can, and I appreciate the candor of all those guys with me. So I'm always in.
That's 5 minutes, John. What do you want to talk about before we go? What do you want to say to people? Just
I want to talk about food when I come over to the UK again.
my wife eats very good.
Oh man, I like to eat.
Any messages for anyone? For just
Tony
Tony Turner said hello to you.
Oh, Tony's my man. Him and Pat Jenkins. I just talked to Pat. Pat's a very good friend of mine. Did time with me in the United States, and he's in London. He's on a halfway house now, and we're really close. And Tony's a great guy. But I'm looking forward to come back and meet everybody. I got a lot of friends there. A lot of Albanians. My David Nash is my agent that's over there. Say hello to him. But really what I want to say is what I always say, even at the end of my podcast. Crime doesn't pay for the kids unless you want to pay with your life. So, and I mean that message sincerely. Unfortunately, my life is always going to be targeted not by law enforcement anymore, but by street guys. Because like yourself, to us, we're the title holders. They could say what they want, the jealousy, the enviness, whatever. And, my ego is in check, so I don't go attack everybody that talks about me. Like, when I was younger, when I heard that one time, I got in my car and I found it. And, you make an example of that one guy so the other 10 don't talk like that. But now you just got to let it roll off your shoulder, teach kids that you can't shut everybody up, ignore them. It's just jealousy. And like I said, crime don't pay. Enjoy your life. That's the message.
Well, I've met my match today then. We've had some good stories, John. So we're going to leave it there for today. John, thanks for everything. And we'll speak soon,
Yeah.
Okay, brother. I'll get a bit, John. Try, mate.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye, John.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.